Hi, it's Don Thornton, and I want to talk to you today about making offers on houses as a real estate investor. And I would say that when I first got started, and again, this was back almost before, almost a little bit after they discovered electricity, I can tell you that probably like most investors who or wannabe investors, newbie investors, rookie investors, however way you want to say it, usually I would probably say that the idea of making an offer terrified me. That was the one. I had no problem knocking on a door. I had no problem, talking to people. But when someone said, "Make me an offer," that would just terrify the crap out of me. And it's ironic because I remember when I was first getting started, I don't know if you know the story or not. I've repeated it in other trainings, other videos, but I went to a seminar to learn how to do short sales in Tampa. This was in 2002, I believe, or three. I think it was late 2002. Anyway, doesn't matter. I didn't have $3,000 to pay for the course. So, I raised my hand to the guy, the guru guy that was doing his pre-seminar seminar, trying to whip people's enthusiasm to go to the back of the room and whip their credit card out. And I just said, look, I don't have any money. I can't afford your course. Is there one thing one piece of advice you give me, uh, you know, that would help me get started without any money? And he says, well, and he's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. And he said, well, what I would do is, I would say just go up, knock on doors of people in foreclosure, and just ask them to give you their house. And because you said if they owe more than what it's worth, you'll find that they'll be willing to do that. Um, it was I started doing that, and I got really good at it because I discovered that at least back then, and maybe it's not quite I think people are a little bit more sophisticated now with the internet. I mean, we had internet back then, but it wasn't like it is now. We didn't have Zillow, we didn't have Google. Oh, Google, I don't remember. It was a while ago. Anyway, my point is that people weren't as sophisticated as they are now, as far as knowing what their house is worth and so on and so forth. But back then, nobody had really heard of a short sale, so that you were like, you know, like Columbus discovering America. It was like, wow, I didn't. There's this whole continent here. So I thrived at that. I loved it. It was easy for me, and one of the reasons why it was so easy was that I just had to say, well, if you're gonna let it go to the bank, just let me have it. I'll take it. I didn't have to make an offer, right? That was easy. Just give it to me. What was terrifying was when they had equity and they wanted to know what price I would buy it at or what my terms would be. And oh my gosh, it was just like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And granted, obviously, I've learned since then, but I still remember how terrifying it was. And now that for the last 6 months, 8 months, I've been training people on how to do real estate investing, and I've done some videos where I have described what I was offering. I did a Facebook Live recently where I was talking with a homeowner about because he had told me no, and then I basically was able to counter his objections. And one of my counters was that I can, if you have any other property, I can buy that too, and then you'd be much better off letting someone like myself buy it for cash in one transaction, or obviously separate transactions, but I mean basically the same time frame, than trying to fix it up and sell it yourself. So that's how I overcame that objection. And I remember a person in my I don't know, he's a student, but I think he follows me on social media, so he saw the video that I posted, and he was like, that's what I can't do. He says, how in the world can you be so confident by saying you can pay him cash? And I was a little bit, I it took me back a little bit because I remembered, well, yeah, I remember feeling that way. But on the other hand, I also remember that I learned a very valuable lesson when I first got started, was when I had worked for this investor, and we had an agreement where he would pay me $500 for every deed that I brought him, and then I was supposed to get 25% of the profit. Of course, he would subtract the initial money he gave me, like the $500. But after the fifth deed of a month, then he would give me $1,000 per deed. And so I proceeded to get 36 houses in like 10 weeks. So I mean, I was killing it. In fact, he ended up firing me because I was bankrupting him because I was getting too many houses. So but I remember that after he fired me, I had 2 houses that I hadn't given him yet. And so I learned a very important lesson because I was able to leverage those contracts to get money. In this case, I found an investor willing to pay me some money up front, so that way I could, in exchange for some for 50% of the proceeds, and I was able to use that money for, it kept me going for a couple of months until I started getting closings, and then it was great. I didn't have any problems with it anymore. But this is a roundabout way of telling you that I didn't have any fear. I still don't have any fear about making offers for cash, even though I never have the financing of the cash lined up when I make the offer. Okay. And I want to show people why I don't have any issue with that, because you can be that confident as long as you write your contract correctly. Okay. So this was one that I did for a house in Bradenton recently. And here's the additional terms that allows me to make offers 100% confident, even though, I feel I'm like, I can probably get the money. I'm not worried about that. The numbers are looking pretty good. But nevertheless, at this present time, I don't have the money lined up. But this is what it's a subject to deal, which means that he owes a certain amount of money. Let's say I think it's 220, I think it's like 235 or something like that. Anyway, so we're going to keep the existing mortgage in place. We're going to give him some money. I think it's like 10,000. Well, I'll show it to you right here in the contract. But anyway, it's a subject to deal. It's an equity deal. So we're going to try to come in, take a subject to, get him out, do a quick rehab, put some fluoride in, paint it, and get it looking better, and then get it for sale. So the first term, and I'll move my thing up here. The first term is the buyer will keep the first mortgage in place until property has been rehabbed, put up for sale, close the resale. At that time, the full balance of the mortgage will be paid in full. That's the subject to. Okay, here we go. Offer contingent on clear title. Offer contingent on partner approval. Offer contingent on inspection. Buyer to pay all closing costs. Buyer will pay a total of $15,000 cash. Buyer will pay seller $10,000 cash at closing. Move out. Buyer will pay seller remaining $5,000 at resale closing. If the payoff of the mortgage comes in higher than $235,000, the overage will be deducted from the buyer's proceeds. If any liens or encumbrances are discovered during title search, the cost to clear them and provide clear title to the seller will be deducted from the buyer's proceeds. Buyer disclosing he's a licensed real estate agent. Okay, so why can I go in and make a 100% confidence? 100% confident offer. That people say, well, what if he accepts it? They're almost afraid that someone's going to accept their offer, right? Well, it's right here. It's contingent on partner approval. It's contingent on inspection. Okay. So what those are loopholes. Okay. Those are ways to get out from the contract if you don't want them. If I can't get, let's say that I can't find the money, right? Well, then my partner said no. So I'm out of the contract without penalty. Okay. So, sometimes I'll ask, well, who's your partner? What do you mean who's your partner? It's like, well, it's the person giving me the money. It's like, oh, okay. They never had a problem with it. I've done this every single equity deal contract I've ever done, and no one's ever refused to take the contract or sign the contract because of that clause. But it's a way for me to get out if I need to. So damn right, I'm going to sit there and make an offer, and once I get the contract signed, then I have something of value. So then I can take that, and then I get my realtor to get me a very conservative CMA compared to market analysis. Just basically her opinion about what we could resell it for. Get pictures, right? repair estimates of how much we think it's going to cost and what we think the resale value is, and we'll think, I'll do my numbers on, well, I think it's 340, but I'm going to base my numbers off of 315 or 320 as a selling point just to make sure, and then go from there. And I'll see if I can get, if I'm, as long as I feel like I'm not going to get hurt and still make some money on it. Even the worst case scenario, if I had to go down that low, then I'll do it. And what's even more important is that I can show, my private investors that, it's pretty there's not very much risk for them either. So I would say that as long as you have your ducks in a row and you have the contingency in your contract that lets you get out if you can't line the money up, then that's it. Then you're protected, so you're good. So as long as you do it correctly, then you can make offers without any hesitation or fear. Just make the offer and see if it works, and then go find the money. And of course, that's a different training. But initially, I'm just saying, don't be afraid of making offers, because if you don't make offers, you're not going to make any money. So you have to learn to make offers. I hope this was helpful.